I'll tell you what. Okay, you've done all these things in Nashville, Europe, everywhere. You've recorded with Jerry Lee Lewis, da-da-da-da-da. It goes on and on.
Yeah, sure did.
Yep. How was your trip with 180 degrees away from these guys, a guy named Wayne Newton?
Wayne Newton, that was a great gig, man. I'm telling you.
Was he a good guy to work for?
Oh, yeah, he was super. And let me tell you, he could play a steel guitar.
I didn't know that.
I mean, wear it out. It wasn't a pedal steel guitar. It was the old Don Helms, Hank Williams sound and stuff.
Right.
So one time I found that out, and I said, hey, you need to break that steel out, man. We'll do some Hank Williams and stuff like that. And so he did, and the crowd ate that up, man. I mean, he could play it. I ain't kidding.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I knew you stayed out there with him for a while.
I was with him like 9 years.
9 years in Vegas. How'd you like living in Las Vegas?
Kilroy, they got more derelicts per square acre out there than they got cows in Texas.
That's a lot of them.
Well, let me see. Other than that, it was okay. I had two of my best guitar. I had 4 guitars stole. I got 2 of them back, but my darn Les Paul Customs I never saw again, and they stole my car.
Oh, my.
Jeez.
Did you get the car back?
Yeah, but I'd already bought this hot rod, man. I had a Mitsubishi GR Ford GT3000 that would do like 180 miles an hour.
That's what you needed.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, they found that car, and whoever stole it, they had some kids with them or something, because there was color crayons in the console of the original car that they stole.
Well, it's kind of a family affair when they steal. Out
there it is.
I've got a guitar player story, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he's a well-known guitar player and worked some. I called him on a date, and you weren't available. You may have been in Vegas. And I said, bring your acoustic also. Now, here's a guy who makes his living playing sessions. You know what he told me? I'll have to borrow one.
Yeah.
He didn't have an acoustic guitar. It was Pete. I don't mind telling you.
Oh, yeah.
Ordinarily.
Yeah, it's...
But anyway, where you have this huge collection of guitars, I knew when you would come to well, you didn't really play that much acoustic for me, but you always did the electric. But you had acoustics if you needed them.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
You remember Ron Jacobs? Of course you do.
Jacobs, yes, sir. The fiddle player. Yes, sir, I know him.
He went through he bought him a motorcycle. And cartage is the folks that the players hire to bring their instruments in, right? I'm just explaining it to the people what cartage is, to the studio. He hired cartage to carry his fiddle so he could ride his motorcycle.
Oh, Lord.
Did I have to pay that bill? Did I pay cartage? Yeah, I paid cartage. You put it on.
Yeah, you had to. You probably had to pay. Well, everybody got cartage. You got $6 cartage. That's what we got, because I carried my own stuff. You know?
Right. Well, he paid cartage so he could carry his fiddle on his motorcycle. So I named him Harleywood. Harleywood, Jacobs. But he was a great fiddle player.
Oh, yeah, he was, man. In fact, I talked to Jacobs probably 3 or 4 years ago, or maybe longer than that. I'm not sure.
I haven't talked to him in a while. Jason had something to say to you.
Well, you mentioned a couple songs that you've done or got to play on. You had a great story, Seven Spanish Angels, which is one of my favorites. Another one is Smokey Mountain Rain, Ronnie Millsap. Do you have anything from that? Or do you remember when you got to play on that?
Yeah, I think we did that at... Smokey Mountain Rain was done I believe we did that at Woodland.
At Woodland.
And then I played on Daydreams About Night Things, you know.
Another good one.
Yeah, so here's the story on Daydreams. I don't know what studio it was, but I play up here in Wisconsin with a guy named Tim Castle. We work together. We got to act, and we work all the time. And we played a tracks, you know, because I got tired of screaming at bass players and drummers and stuff like that. So I love this. This is like an overdub session. And he played this this track one night. He said, and I kind of caught part of the intro. You know, he told me what it was, the key and all that. Okay. And we did it. And when I got to the end, I smoked that lick on the end, and I think, I've been here before, I think. Let me tell you something. 2 weeks later, or the week after that, I got a check in the mail from ASCAP or is SAG after AFM thing, royalty check for Daydreams About Night Things, Ronnie Millsap. They'd used it in a movie. Oh. And so I had a check for a little over, I think it's $383. And I went out, next time I seen Tim, I said, you know, that song come pretty easy for me, and here's why. So I showed him a copy of that check.
Oh gosh, you played so long and you played so good for so many people, and good grief, Dale. I was very uncomfortable if I didn't have Dyson, I didn't have you, and I didn't have Larry London.
Yeah,
I had to have those. And of course, you had
it was gears in a machine, man.
I know.
They locked together, and that's what made it. You know, they were the base for all the basic thing for all the other stuff. The icing of electric guitars and steels and stuff like that to play on top of them.
Sure. You know, an interesting thing when we were at Caribou Ranch in Colorado, and starting with Jerry Lee Lewis, not Billy Joe, but Jim Gershio, who the folks may not know who he is, but one of the most successful guys in all of music. He did. He produced Chicago. He managed Chicago. He wrote and published every song Chicago had. So he made a whole lot of money. And the interesting thing up there was he came over after we'd been there a day in the studio, and he said, "Hey, are you guys getting your sounds down?" And I said, "I think so. We've already recorded 3 songs." And he was amazed at the players and how fast the players worked there, because he's used to doing Chicago and what have you. You know, once our guys got the numbers, it was just bam, bam, bam. Especially with Jerry Lee Lewis, because you had one shot with him, and he'll give it to you, and you better do it. You know.
Well, you know, Eddie, there's a difference, and I don't know if it can be explained, between just a band that records their own stuff and a studio player.
Yes.
You know, we were like, what do you call them old lizards that change colors, chameleons or something like that?
Something like that. Don't ask me to spell it.
It's a little green lizard, and that lizard will change colors wherever he is. Right. And that was what we were. We adapted immediately to what we were doing.
You did.
I've worked country sessions. I'd be playing pop sessions or something like that, and then go over here and play on something with Lester Flatt or Earl Scruggs. You know? Bluegrass, yeah. Go from this pop stuff over and play a bluegrass session.
You guys could always do that. I think that's one thing that made Nashville so attractive to people, is they could get any type of record you wanted.
Oh, yeah. You bet, man.
And quickly, too.
And say what?
Quickly you would do it. I was going to ask you, am I right? Am I right or am I wrong? I think Bobby Dyson was the first player to play electric bass on a record in Nashville. Is that true? I've always thought that.
You know, I'm thinking he is.
I think so, too. I think the first one was on a Porter Wagner record.
Yeah, well, you know, these other bunch of them cats around there, you know, they'd say something about, Dyson's playing lead bass. That's the kind of bass I wanted to hear, man.
Absolutely.
I've been living all my life to hear something like that. Him and Joe Osborne.
Joe, yeah.
Woo, Lord, they'd run you off the edge of a mountain, son.
They could play, that's for sure.
Put you over the edge. Yeah, they could. And
do you ever go back and listen to any of the records you played on?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Are you ever amazed? Like, wow, that really came off good.
Oh, yeah, man. Like there's one Gary Stewart thing I found the other night. I was listening to it. It was called "Let's Go Jukin'."
Okay.
And I play this on the the thing on the intro, and I thought, Lord have mercy, let me dig that back out. Because what that was part of a lick that I'd come up with, an instrumental that I had demoed over at Combine Music. And I thought, man, I got to remember that one. So I put a piece of it on there.
I got to tell you Bobby Thompson's story, and I don't remember the artist I was doing it on, but he had the intro on it, and it was just perfect. God, that was a great intro. And several months later, I'm driving down the street, and the Oak Ridge Boys come on. I said, wait a minute, that's the same intro that he played on my artist. It may have been Bobby Borchers, I don't remember. But it was one of them. I saw Thompson, he said, damn, he said, I knew you'd hear that. I said, you played the same intro for the Oak Ridge Boys you did for me.
Let me tell you something parallel to that one. As I was doing a demo for a guy named Frank Dacus. You remember him?
Sure.
He'd got in tight with him and Lou Harris and all that bunch, and he was writing with them. And we was cutting at Fireside, and he said, Sellers, you played that same lick on the last song we demoed, but prior to this, a few weeks or a month or so back. I said, well, if you'd write a different song, I'd play a different lick.
Oh.
Needless to say, that was the end of that run.
That's great.
You know, players in the studio, you can put some, I know the name of it, I can't think, something on your fingers to do away with the squeaks, right? What is it called? You don't know, I don't know.
Wait a minute, what? Ask me that again.
Okay. Players put something on their fingers, on the strings, so there's no squeaks, right?
Okay, I know. I should know all about that because I used to carry 4 or 5 bottles because this guy I was working for named Eddie Kilroy would say, Sellers, put some of that stuff on them strings. They're squeaking.
I know. That drive me up a wall. Hey.
It's called finger ease.
Finger ease, that's right.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, that's right.
But the only time I use that anymore is we do 6 to 10 days at the Wisconsin State Fair, Tim and I. And when it gets humid, oh man, your hand will stick to the neck, and you can't get up and down that neck till you give it a little blast on the back of the neck and over the fingerboard. Then you're ready. You're good to go.
You know, out of all the records you've made for me, the one with the least squeaks on the strings was when you came up with that trick using bubble gum on them. That was so smooth.
That what?
When you were using bubble gum on it, it was smooth.
Bubble gum?
Yeah.
No, heck, I didn't put no bubble gum on the neck. Well, I did, but
I think I've heard this story.
there's some yahoo. I got hurt because I tried to manhandle a go-kart. I had a go-kart, had a 250cc motorcycle engine on it. And the clutch froze. And it was like, I remember well, it was the 21st of January, I think, 81 or 82. And I told my boy, I said, hey, hold that brake. I'm going to jar this thing loose. Well, when I snatched on that dude, something popped. My finger burned. It was if Jason don't know it, I'm left-handed. I use my right hand to chord with. My ring finger, it ripped the tendon off and split the bone in the end. And I was lucky to go to Louisville, Kentucky to Harold Kleinert's Hand Fellows Association. They were the premier hand surgeons in the United States. And they put me back together, and I learned. I come back. It took me about 11 months to get back, but I did. But anyway, I'm working this session, and I got silly putty to squeeze, to strengthen my hands, just exercise and stuff like that. So we was at RCA. We was working for this guy named Eddie Kilroy.
Wonder why.
We took a little break, and I had that putty laying on top of on the music stand. I come back. I picked that putty up, and I squeezed it, and I put my hand on my guitar, and I couldn't hardly pull my hand off the guitar. It was bubble gum. Kilroy had put his bubble gum in my silly putty.
Way to go.
I didn't mean to do that. It was just too
No,
tempting.
I bet you did.
I'll tell you what, honestly, I did not know it would make that big a mess, okay? It was kind of messy.
Little water and a little alcohol get break that bubble gum down, man. You know.
Oh, Lord. Hey, turning the page back just a little bit, what prompted you to leave Wayne Newton after 9 years?
Well, we don't want to get into that.
Okay, let's don't get into it. We may not be able to get out if we get into it.
Yeah, that's right. No, I just, I just did.
Okay, just did. I love that.
I mean, he was great, but there was some things going around. I wasn't going to deal with it.
Hey,
I'll tell you the true story.
Okay, tell me the true story.
Private phone call, yeah. But he was great. I went with him a lot of places. He made sure that I went. Sometimes if he had room on his private plane, come on, you going with me.
That's good. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. Hey, my wife Liz was listening to a Christmas album that you did. She loved it. So,
what was that?
A Christmas album she found.
Was it Christmas guitars?
Probably was Christmas
Was
guitar.
it an instrumental deal?
Yeah, I'm glad
Eddie?
you weren't singing.
Well, hey, I couldn't sing. I was barely able to sit up. I was so sick.
Really?
The flu had come on me like a plague.
Good grief.
And I remember going to that session when we cut that. We did it in several sessions. And wheel come off my car, the back tire. The wheel and everything come off. And that thing sat down on that interstate out there, looked like a cigarette lighter going down the road. And I don't know how I got to that session. I think
was that in 1974?
Yeah, that was back. That was a while back.
Yeah.
But I got that session. But I was so sick, I couldn't hardly think.
Well, you know what though? I always felt about you. You played better sick than most people played well.
Well, thanks, man.
You know that I was a Dale Sellers fan, and I counted on you on every date.
Yeah.
There was just two or three guys we could replace. Like if Sonny Garish on steel was booked, I'd go to Stu Bass or vice versa. So many good players are there on so many different instruments that it wasn't hard. But always missed you and missed your smiling face and the way we laughed and the way we had fun.
Oh, we had more fun than the law allowed, buddy.
It sure is. Dale, go ahead.
Huh?
I want to hear another story. Go ahead.
Well, you remember when you was producing Louise Mandrell? We did Some Girls Have All the Luck.
Yeah, I remember that.
Rod Stewart, and you also had Eric Carmen.
Yeah,
you produced him too.
Right.
And that was the first time that I'd ever met Bob Babbitt. He played bass on it.
Yeah.
You know who Babbitt is? He won the Funk Brothers out of Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah, good guy, man.
Yeah, he was. A good player, of course. And I enjoyed him. What was the guy that came from a group? He was a black guy. Who was he? Came to town playing bass?
Wait a minute. Was it Jesse wait a minute. There's another guy that RC was using. He played with Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack or somebody at one point.
He was getting a lot of work. I tried him one time and it didn't work.
Yeah.
It's that magic wasn't there and the cohesiveness of the players.
Yeah, the last time I run into him was way back in the prehistoric days at the airport. They just come back in from the road. He's playing with Winona Judd.
Yeah. Well, Dale, I appreciate you taking the time, and it has been my pleasure to visit with one of my dear, dear friends and cohorts. And Jason's been here with me. He's
It's great meeting you, man. Loved hearing the stories.
Hey, thanks, Jason.
Hey,
Hope to meet you one of these days.
you will.
Me too. Yeah.
You will.
Soon.
You're hanging out with some good company there, pal.
He's questioning that.
I'm definitely today.
He's questioning that. Hey, Dale, you know how much I love you. You know how much I appreciate everything you did for every record I produced that you were playing on. And hey, man, the friendship developed, and I pray that you just keep on rocking, son.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I got another story about Larry Gatlin.
Oh, yeah, tell me about Larry.
All right. One night, they was doing a 6 o'clock session over at Monument. And I was somewhere, nature called on me to relieve my kidneys. So what am I going to do? I stopped at the studio, and the band was all in there, Larry and that bunch, and I went in to take a tinkle. I had to go through the studio, and as I was going through or coming back out, excuse me, Larry said, "Dale, you got an acoustic guitar with you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, go get it. You playing on this session." I think the song was "A Broken Lady."
That's a big record for Gatlin. Did you do well with Gatlin?
Yeah, I got along with him all right.
I didn't like him.
No problem, Do you know
did you ever go to the writer's room at Combine Music, who he and Chris Gustafson and a bunch of them wrote for? Were you ever in the writer's room? I know you worked over there some.
Oh, yeah. I did every demo and a lot of stuff that Combine did,
Well, what I liked about it, in the writer's room, they had Beckham, the guy that owned the publishing company, had that big sign up there that said, "Will Rogers never met Larry Gatlin."
All right, wait a minute, hold on. I'll tell you who done that.
Who did that?
Dennis Lindy.
Oh, Dennis wrote the sign, put the sign up. I thought it was Beckham.
You know how people, how hillbillies are bad, or get a Sharpie or a crayon and go to writing on restroom walls and stuff, you know? I've seen a lot of stuff. I've collected a lot of sayings. Going to the restroom and places is
you know what?
It was a chalkboard. Beckham had that chalkboard.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so that was the mainstay of quotations. That never come down. Will Rogers never met Larry Gatlin.
Truer words never spoken.
Dennis Lindy wrote that on there.
Oh, Lord.
And I think Larry had seen it a few times, but you better not mess with it. Beckham will kill you.
There was a lot of things going on down there. Hey, do me a favor, go online, check out Jason Young Band. Take a look at it. They're really, really good, and I'm proud of Jason. I'm proud Jason's with me on this podcast.
Thanks, man.
So check out Jason Young Band.
All right.
And you'll see some things on there that you like.
Maybe we get to jam together one day.
Wouldn't that be
That'd be a treat for me.
I'd like to be there. It'd be a treat for you two guys to get together.
But you can also hear me, Jason, on Facebook, Tim Castle's Tribute to Country Legends. A lot of videos and pictures. Don't pay no attention to the mistakes if I make them. Okay?
Oh, please.
That's on Facebook.
You do the same to me then.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Dale, I'm looking forward to hugging your neck and seeing you somewhere in the near future, and take care of yourself. Our friendship will always remain the same. And darn, I appreciate you being on Kilroy's Outlaws, Legends, and Behind the Music, which is where we've been today. And I love that. Email me at, I'll put it on there later, okay?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But you just take care of yourself, and thank you so much for being a guest today.
I sure will, Kilroy. God bless you, my friend.
God bless you, my pal.
All right.
Adios.
See you, Jason.
Hey, see you, man. Good talking with you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Boy, Jason, this has been a fun deal with me.
Yeah.
Really, really good. We're going to wrap it up now. In the meantime, thank you for being with Kilroy's Outlaws, Legends, and Behind the Music. And thanks for Jason being here with me again today. And God bless each and every one of you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Kilroy's Outlaws and Legends Behind the Music. If you have any thoughts or questions about the content, email them. Kilroy Outlaws and Legends, all one word, at yahoo.com. That's Kilroy, no S, Outlaws and Legends, all one word, at yahoo.com. And don't forget to subscribe. Third-party use of any part of this podcast without the expressed consent of Eddie Kilroy is prohibited. The Kilroy's Outlaws and Legends Behind the Music podcast is a production of Eddie Kilroy.